Real crime can be a terrifying reality. From murder to kidnapping, these crimes can rob us of our sense of safety and security. They can leave us feeling scared, helpless, and vulnerable. A tragedy unfolded in 2004 that would shock the community of Mornington and leave 3 innocent lives lost forever. Anna and Gracie Kemp vanished without a hint, leaving the town reeling with grief. No one knew where they had gone or why they had left. Let's take a look at the disturbing story of the Sharpe family that left everyone horrified. But what happened? Who was responsible for these terrible crimes? Was it murder, kidnapping, or something else? Let's uncover the truth. John Sharpe was born in Mornington, Victoria, Australia, on February 28, 1967. His childhood and early adulthood had been a period of social difficulty. John was discontented with his social experience and had few friends. John was not a very sociable person, as one would say. His friends and family described him as less talkative and more reserved. He worked at the Commonwealth Bank, and that is where he met his future wife, Anna Kemp. Anna was a New Zealand native, but had moved to Australia to pursue her career. They both hit it off instantly and got married in October of 1994 and began to settle into their married lives. John soon became self-employed as a conveyancer. Everything was going great for the couple, and soon they were blessed with a daughter, Gracie, in August of 2002. However, the joy of having a new baby was soon overshadowed when it was discovered that Gracie had hip dysplasia. She required an orthopedic harness for the first 3 months of her life, and even after the harness was no longer needed, Gracie still had difficulties with eating and sleeping. The strain on the marriage was palpable, and Anna sought professional help with her daughter. In 2004, Anna was delighted to announce that she was pregnant again, and this time was expecting a baby boy, a brother for their firstborn child, Gracie. She had always wanted more than one child, but John felt that Anna's pregnancy was too much of a weight to bear, since he had already decided having one child was enough for him. This left Anna devastated. Meanwhile, John visited his physician with complaints of interrupted sleep. Upon examination, John's physician prescribed 2 different types of sleeping pills, yet they had minimal beneficial effects on him. In March of 2004, Anna, John, and Gracie moved from their previous home and settled into their new house at 116 Prince Street in Mornington. It was an unlikely scenario that this house would eventually become a scene for one of the most grievous infractions ever seen in Australia. On March 22, 2004, Anna took Gracie to childcare, chatted with her friend at 2 p.m., and called her mother in New Zealand that evening, just something an average person would do in their normal life. Anna even made plans to meet her friend Samantha that coming Thursday, which she was excited about. Little did Anna know as she spoke to Samantha on the phone that this would be their final conversation. As the call drew to a close, Anna felt a chill run through her, as if a dark premonition was warning her of the danger that was to come. On March 23rd, John carried out an unexpected phone call to Samantha and Dawn Hendry, Anna's closest friends. John told them that Anna had left with another man, leaving behind their daughter Gracie. Dawn was alarmed, as this behavior was completely out of character for Anna, a devoted mother who could never even imagine leaving her daughter. Meanwhile, in her homeland of New Zealand, Anna's family became increasingly concerned when they had not heard from her. Despite attempts to contact her, she had not answered any of their calls or messages. Increasing worry began to take hold of Anna's family as the days passed and still no sign or word of her was heard. With permission from her mother, Lily, Father Harrison contacted Constable John Woodhouse. Initially, Woodhouse was rather complacent in the situation, assuming Anna's runaway from the marriage was likely due to her Catholic beliefs and the apprehension of her mother's potential reaction. However, as the days drew on, the concern of Anna's family only continued to grow. Those close to Anna were unable to accept that she would be involved in an affair and flee with another man. Just 5 days after Anna's alleged flee, John informed Anna's loved ones that Gracie had been taken by Anna on Sunday, March 28, and had left the house via taxi. This was met with skepticism, as it did not make any sense at all. Every taxi company operating in the Mornington area had their phone numbers obtained by Constable Woodhouse. However, none of them had any indication of having picked up a passenger from Prince Street. Constable Woodhouse compiled a case file for Anna and sent it to the Victoria Police Missing Persons Unit in Australia. Detective Sergeant Shane Brundell was concerned as a responsible and family-oriented woman expecting a second child who had seemingly disappeared with her child without leaving any trace or word. A televised appeal was made by John, denying any wrongdoing against either his wife or his daughter and expressing his love for them. Detective Constable Kennedy had noticed a marked difference in John's demeanor when he had taken his first statement. John had been matter-of-fact and far less emotional, but when Kennedy had seen John on television, he was behaving different. John had said, with a hint of desperation in his voice, "I don't care where Anna is. I just need to know where Gracie is." But there was something more to this story than John was letting on. A detailed statement had been taken from John Sharpe, and the police continued to keep a close watch on him. Police investigated Anna's disappearance and discovered that her Visa card had been used to send flowers to her mother in New Zealand, which led Lily to doubt if it had actually been Anna who sent them. Furthermore, her mobile phone had been used and strange emails had been sent to different family members. In April, Anna's brother, Gerard, received an email supposedly from his sister stating she needed time and space. The police interviewed Anna's friends and family to further their inquiries. One day, the police spotted John entering the bushes next to a public toilet in Mornington, where he was seen picking up a blue plastic carrier bag. A credit card was taken from it before the bag was placed back in its hiding spot. Upon checking the bag, a disturbing discovery was made. Anna's Visa card and mobile phone were present, as well as her driver's license. Everyone's worst fears were confirmed when this was found and John Sharpe became the prime suspect. John was observed dumping potential evidence into a bin and was subsequently arrested. John Sharpe was interviewed by police in Mornington and maintained his story that his wife had left voluntarily on March 23rd. However, his lack of emotion made officers doubt his version of events, and they decided to put him under surveillance. In his second interview, John finally confessed the truth. When it was revealed what had occurred in the house on Prince Street, it was more shocking and disconcerting than anyone had expected. In 2003, John Sharpe visited a local shop, Sport Philip Marine, and made a cash purchase on a spear gun and an additional spear. The exact date of the purchase remains unknown, but what is clear is he had obtained it at least 6.5 weeks before Anna and Gracie's disappearance. Despite practicing with the gun in the garden, he had never before shown any interest in spearfishing. John told the investigators that on March 23, 2004, John and Anna got into a heated argument, and after that, they headed to the bed around the evening's twilight. John couldn't recall the cause of the argument, and Anna fell asleep peacefully. John, however, remained wide awake, pondering his and Anna's relationship, which had become increasingly deteriorating. He then rose from his bed, strolled to the garage, and returned to the bedroom, carrying his spear gun. He lifted the gun and positioned it just millimeters from Anna's head. John held the spear gun, pointing it at Anna, pulling the trigger and sending a spear into her head. Despite the spear being fired at such a close range, Anna was still alive and was gasping for breath, and John felt a surge of conflicting emotions. In a desperate effort, he fired a second spear into his pregnant wife's head, with the sound echoing through the air. Anna was gone, leaving John with an irreparable void in his heart. John then crept downstairs and collapsed onto the sofa bed. Meanwhile, Gracie was unaware of the harrowing event that had taken place in the other room. The next day, he tried to remove both spears from Anna, but they remained embedded no matter how hard he tugged. As he took Gracie to kindergarten and later picked her up, the air was filled with an unsettling tension and deep sorrow. John took his wife's body from the bedroom and led her out into the rear garden. He dug a little grave and buried his dead pregnant wife. As if this wasn't disturbing enough, John continued. He told the police that on Sunday, March 28th at around 9 o'clock that evening, he put Gracie to bed in her cot and then drank several glasses of whiskey and coke to numb his senses. He lowered the spear gun with the newly brought spear and fired at his daughter's head, penetrating her skull. John retrieved the 2 spear shafts he had previously removed from his dead wife's head while his daughter was hurt and screaming. He then fired both spears into her head, but she was still alive, taking her last breaths, barely moving and bleeding to death. So he removed 1 spear from her head and fired it again, this time killing her. This seemingly peaceful individual, who had always been dedicated to his family as a loving husband, and caring father was now revealed to be a murderer. On March 29, 2004, John bought a chainsaw, 2 tarpaulins, and a roll of duct tape from a nearby Bunnings warehouse. The next day, he exhumed his wife's body and divided it into 3 parts. He placed the remains in a nearby waste disposal facility after wrapping them up in a tarp. He maintained his denial of any knowledge of their whereabouts during his initial interview, but then later admitted to both murders. For 3 weeks, police conducted a thorough search of the Mornington landfill site, and finally, the remains were discovered. On August 5, 2005, the Supreme Court of Victoria sentenced Sharpe to life in prison with a minimum 33-year non-parole period for the murders. Despite the devastation of this event, the loved ones of Anna and Gracie can find solace in the memories they have of them. In remembering the happiness and joy Anna and Gracie brought to the lives of those around them, their loved ones can assure that their memory will live on forever. Thank you for watching True Crime Prime. Kindly subscribe to our channel and remember to like, share, and comment.